This time on Classic Reviews, we're going to be talking about the 1976 film A Star is Born. A Star is Born was directed by Frank Pierson and is the second remake of the classic 1937 film A Star is Born. It stars Kris Kristofferson and Barbra Streisand, and this time, instead of focusing on Hollywood, it deals with the music scene. John Norman is a rock star with a drinking problem who falls in love with Esther Howard, and they eventually start a blooming relationship, and Esther, who can also sing, starts a great career while his begins to decline. Alright, right off the bat, I was really glad that this film wasn't just a straight-up remake of the original 1937 film. That was the biggest problem I had with the 1954 version, was that it was just another remake of the first film. There was literally nothing new about it. And this film does something a little bit different. Of course, I said that it deals with the music scene instead of Hollywood, which I think is something fresh and different, and we can look at how stars are made and stars fall in the music scene, which I think is really cool here. Stuff I really liked about the film. I really liked the music of the film. Kris Kristofferson and Barbra Streisand are great singers, and they give off really good performances when they are singing. Also, I really like Kris Kristofferson's performance in this film. He's very believable in this role of this drunk singer who's in decline, and he plays it very well. He's not that charismatic or anything, but I don't think you need to be for this type of role. He's kind of an asshole, honestly, but he's a likable asshole. I also really appreciate a lot of the changes they made from the original movie and the remake. I think it works very well in this film. Changes go beyond the whole singing thing. We also see a scene that was originally in the first two films. In the original film, Esther gets an Academy Award, while here she gets a Grammy. And we just see the differences between Hollywood and just the music scene. I just overall really am glad that this movie was different and it took a chance, and it doesn't always work though. And here is probably where I'm going to go into a lot of my negatives, and there's quite a bit. First off, I want to talk about Barbra Streisand in this film. I think she is completely miscast in this role. This role needs somebody that is young and that can play somebody that looks so delicate and doesn't look like much, but turns out to be somebody amazing. And when we see Barbra Streisand in the film, it's just, we know it's Barbra Streisand. She looks like Barbra Streisand. She acts like Barbra Streisand. It's nothing. It just doesn't work. Also, her chemistry with Kris Kristofferson is non-existent. This is just the most loveless looking relationship I've seen. And the film also has one of the most bizarre sex scenes I've ever seen that goes on way too long. It's not The Room qualities of awkward, but it's pretty awkward. It's one of the weirdest things I've seen, and just there's no chemistry at all with these two. I don't believe for a second that these two are in love, and it's really upsetting because Kris Kristofferson is giving a really good performance while Barbra Streisand is just being Barbra Streisand. However, I will give Barbra Streisand some credit. She does give a really good performance, especially near the end. And I particularly like this scene. I'll go ahead and spoil it because it's a very old movie. And so basically, John Norman dies in the film, very late into the film. And what I really like that this movie does that the other two really don't do. The other two films don't focus on the aftermath of the star's death that much. We don't really see how it's affecting Esther at all. And this film, it does. We see Esther sitting alone, thinking to herself, and she gets really upset, and we see just how depressed she is and how hurt she is by his death, and it really works. It's a really good scene, and honestly, the best scene in the movie. Other problems I have with the film is that this movie's just straight up goofy. It's a 70s type of goofy. It's a very 70s movie, and it can be very awkward at times. There's a scene earlier in the film where John Norman is giving a concert, and he's drunk, and then he gets on a motorcycle and drives up on stage and jumps off of it into the crowd, and it happens in slow motion. It's just... the movie's all over the place. Also, the cinematography is very weird. It's very cheap looking, as well as it kind of looks like I'm watching a documentary of a concert, but not exactly. I don't know how to describe it. There's just something off-putting and cheap about the cinematography in the film. It's not really a great film, but it has enough in it to where I can really say I enjoy it, but it's nothing spectacular. Also, something kind of fun as a little bit of trivia, Elvis was originally going to star in this movie. I have to wonder to myself, what would this movie have been like if Elvis was in the movie? That's something to think about. Overall, I think this movie's fine. I honestly like it more than the first remake because at least it's doing something a little bit different. It doesn't always work, it's hammy, it's awkward, but every now and then it does have some really good moments in it, and I appreciate it for that. And with all that said, I'm going to give A Star is Born a 6 out of 10. So yeah, I would say the 1937 film is the best of these movies. So far, at least. We still have the new one coming out in October, and I can't wait to see it. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching the review, and if you haven't seen my other A Star is Born reviews, check those out. And if you haven't seen the movies, check them out too, because I think they're really interesting, and I really like the first one, so definitely see that one. And also, come back here when the new one comes out, and I'll have a review for you then. But anyway, guys, with all that said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next review.